This is our first program overview night for the Central Virginia Governor School for Science and Technology. My name is Dr. Stephen Smith, and I have the privilege and the pleasure of serving as the director and one of the 7 instructors here at the Governor School. And we are so delighted that you are here with us tonight. We're going to share some information about our program. We've got some of our Cvgs Ambassadors, current seniors in the program, who are going to talk with you at the end of the program. And then we'll take your questions. What I'd like to do before I actually get started in my presentation is I'd like to find out if some of you already know some things about the Governor School. So I am going to launch a poll. Let's see here. You should be able to see some questions on your screen. Well, it's really one question with 4 possible answers. And it's about how much you know about the Governor School. We're just going to take a few seconds to respond to this. And these are anonymous responses, but it'll just give us an idea about the level of detail we might need to share. And I see some responses are still coming in. Sure, Isaiah, you're welcome to fill it out, and you better say you know a great deal, seeing as you're a senior and one of our ambassadors. It would skew the results. I like your thinking very much. All right, I'm going to end the poll and share the results. So we have some folks who know very little about the program, and that's typical. These results are pretty typical and seem relatively normally distributed, right? We have folks that know some basic information, folks that know a bit more, and folks that know a great deal. I know that we have a few parents, current or former Gov School parents. Well, I guess once you're a Gov School parent, you're always a Gov School parent. But so we know we have some folks here that have some experience with the program. I would talk for a long time, so I'm going to push along. I see Mr. Douglas, he always keeps me on track. I appreciate that. The poll should now be down. Is that correct for your view? All right, then I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to share the PowerPoint that I'm going to use for this evening. Can you now see the PowerPoint? It shows the picture of the Governor School. Fantastic, very good. So this is our facility. It was built in 2016, and it was designed just for us. So I wish you would have an opportunity to take a tour of it. It's fantastic, and it's very specifically designed for our program. It's located on the site of Heritage High School. And this is our overview for our presentation this evening. So I'm going to provide the overview. Mr. Steele will talk about physics. Mrs. Sheamut will discuss research and internships, and so on. Each one of these topics will take about 8 minutes. Then our ambassadors will each share information for a couple of minutes, and then we'll be at the Q&A time. So a little bit more about me, because one of the things we want to do is we want to help our prospective students understand who the team is at the Governor School and what we're about, a little bit about how we are interacting with students and what we do in the program. So I get to teach statistics to all the juniors, and I do that as part of the research methods course. So that's how I get to know all of our students. I also teach a senior math course, Connections in Mathematics, and I work with a leadership, teamwork, and communications lab as part of the senior seminar course. I'll also mention that I'm not only an instructor and the director, and I've been doing those two things for 12 years now, but I'm also a Gov School parent. My own son and daughter got to go to the Gov School and really benefited from it. And in fact, they both ended up in career fields related to their Cvgs internships, just coincidentally. So why does Cvgs exist? So in 1985, the 5 superintendents in our region got together because they saw a need for a different program, something different than what was happening in the base schools. And so we exist to serve highly capable, highly motivated students who have interests in math, science, and technology. So what we do is we actively engage our students. They wanted a program that would have more active engagement, something that would challenge students, but at the same time support them as they were challenged, something where a program in which the faculty would clearly and intentionally teach students study, critical thinking, problem solving, leadership, teamwork, and communication skills. Those are the things that we do, and we do that in the context of math, science, and technology. So at CVGS, students will do more, actively engaged, so they can learn more, so they will become more. Do more, learn more, become more. That's what we do at CVGS. So that's why we exist. There are two more why questions I want to answer. The first is, why apply? Well, there's no cost to you to apply. That's the first thing. So it's free. It's also good practice. You're going to apply to go to college, and our application is like a mini college application. So it's good practice for you to apply to the governor's school. The last thing is the application is non-binding. And what that means is if you are selected, you can always say no. You don't have to attend. So there's no risk to applying, and it leaves your options open for the future. The next thing you might be thinking about, the next why question is, why would you want to attend? Well, the main reason is that you will meet fantastic students just like yourself, students who are bright, who are enthusiastic, who enjoy math and science, and who come from all over Central Virginia. These are students you might not meet otherwise. You'll get to study in a college environment, and you're going to hear a lot more about that during this presentation. You'll learn how to conduct college-level research, your own research project. You'll complete a 36-hour internship, and we will assign you a CVGS laptop and some advanced software, not just Microsoft Office, but also the Adobe Suite and some other pieces of software that you can use. And we'll give you the administrative rights to your laptop because we treat our students as college students. Other reasons to attend, you'll learn how to study, which is something our students sometimes tell us, well, I was in advanced classes, but I never really had to study. Right? Well, we'll teach you how to study as you encounter this rigorous content. And as you learn to study, we'll teach you how to retain and recall rigorous content more effectively. You'll learn how to use advanced technologies. You'll learn communication, presentation, teamwork, and leadership skills. You'll prepare for acceptance to competitive colleges and universities. That's one of the reasons we exist. Our students go to fantastic schools, and when they go, they are ready to stand shoulder to shoulder with students from any other school in the country and beyond. And so we're preparing you for success, not just in college, but in your career as well. So that's 10 reasons you might want to attend the governor's school. So a little general information about the what and the how. Again, since 1985, CVGS has served Amherst, Appomattox, Bedford, Campbell, and Lynchburg. There are a set number of allocated slots for each school division. So these numbers, that's the number of juniors and then the number of seniors, and they're always the same. They're designed to be the same. If you're accepted into the junior year, you just continue on to the senior year. There are currently 150 students from 11 different high schools. We were so excited. We got a student from Stanton River this year, and he's fantastic. But with only 150 students, we get to know all of our students individually, which I think is wonderful. So students are selected by division committees. We have nothing to do with the selection process. You will apply, and it will go to a committee, a group of people in your central office who will make the selections. You come for 3 periods each morning. Then you go back to your base school. All our courses are weighted at 5.0 for your grade point average because they are more rigorous. And so every one of our 5 school divisions recognizes them in that way. We don't charge students for any costs related to the program. And that if your research runs into some expenses, you need to get items for it, our foundation covers those costs. If you go on a research trip, the costs are covered. The insurance for your laptop, those costs are covered. We don't charge our students for anything related to our program. Transportation is provided to our program by the school divisions. And so that's just a little bit of basic information. These are answers to questions I frequently get in the program overview night. That ends my portion. of the presentation. And before we go on to Mr. Steele, I just want to point out Mrs. Kim McMillan. Mrs. Kim McMillan is our program coordinator. I don't know if, can you see, give me a thumbs up if you can see Mrs. McMillan. She's fantastic. She doesn't have a section in the presentation tonight because we're focusing on the instructional side of the CVGS program, but I just wanted to give her a shout out because she is absolutely wonderful. And with that, Mr. Steele, if you'd take it away.
Well, good evening, and it's such a privilege to speak to you tonight. My name is Jeff Steele, and I get the privilege of teaching physics to all of our juniors here at CVGS. As well, I do a few other things with the seniors, so those are all listed there for your interest, but I'm going to focus on what junior physics looks like for our incoming students. The arrow, there we go. The arrow, forward arrow was hiding from me. So physics at our school is a year-long experience. It's at an accelerated rate, and part of the reason for that is because our schedule, as you'll hear throughout the evening, is different than other schools. I only see the students for 4 days a week, not 5 days a week. So we're moving a little bit quicker through it. We have an algebra trigonometry-based physics course, and it's on par with what you would see as the same mathematic level physics and the freshman level in college. We do many hands-on activities, many labs, pretty much on a weekly basis. And of those 4 days, we're typically spending 2 of our 4 days doing labs. And as all our classes are, as Dr. Smith said, we are a 5.0 GPA, but we are not a dually enrolled class in the junior year. So lots of inquiry-based learning. I present students with the question and I ask them to go solve it, to determine a fundamental constant, to verify a law of physics, maybe to discover the relationship between variables, to be able to understand a law of physics. The topics we cover range greatly. And as you can see, this is going to exceed most of the topics that you would see in any of our base schools physics curriculum. AP Physics 1, for example, basically covers about the first semester and a few topics in the second semester, but that's about it. So we're rigorous and we're in depth, and we really do a job on having the students explore and work with each other. And like I said, that's primarily through the laboratory environment. We work in small groups, and in these small groups, we have up-to-date equipment that's on par with college laboratories, equipment actually that was all purchased just at the beginning of this school year. So this is brand new. Our students are breaking it in for us. And as you can see, those are actually the student laptops being used there. These ProWares all communicate via Bluetooth with the computers, and we're able to do some detailed data analysis without having a mundane task of recording values into a data table. We let the technology do the work for us, and we do a more detailed analysis with the power that the machine can bring to us. We explore creative problem solving using this equipment, using our technology to create questions, to answer questions. A student can propose a question and we can test it in the laboratory if we like, because of the facilities and the equipment that we have at our disposal. I do want you to note that our students are always working together on the problem solving. Not only is it in the labs where they do work in groups, and the largest group would be 3, but also throughout the homework. Whereas they do work independently on the homework for a grade, they collaborate on the homework. They network, they create ways of communicating with each other outside of school. And there is really, they've taken our spirit of a community of learners and they've extended that outside of the 4 walls of Gov School into every moment when they are working on this. And they really do communicate with each other, support each other, help each other out. I've gotten to the point where I will post a list of things to prepare for a test, and it will be a shared document that they are just filling up and helping each other out and asking and answering questions, the type of dialogue that you want our students to have. And that's where we move forward, where we do that. So plenty of teamwork, plenty of communication, and a lot of, I think, good-hearted fun. You can see we had a Spirit Day when the photo on the right side was taken. I guess you can imagine what time of year that was getting to be near. But that teamwork and communication, like I said, that's a critical aspect of what we do. And you will see that every day, not only in physics, but throughout the building. We do project-based learning, which means that the students are creating and the students are testing. So we have a variety of projects throughout the year that's highlighted by the egg drop in the fall. So this is a school-wide event where we all get to come out and witness the success or hopefully not, but the lack thereof. We don't have 100% survival rate, but I think that's to be said about an egg drop. But it's not just, hey, let's see if we can stuff something into a box and keep it from breaking. We record high-speed video of that egg drop, and then we analyze that video to determine the force of impact that the package receives, and really do, again, a college level analysis that you're not going to see coming out of a normal high school physics curriculum. That's just one example. In the spring, our major project is a culminating project where we combine mathematics and physics into a capstone project for both classes. And what makes this project neat, and not just that it's one more project and something that kind of sums up everything at the end, but that because of our freedom of schedule, those last few weeks of the school year, this is going to be the students' focus. We're not going to be going to physics first period and math second period and so on. We are going to be working with our groups for the entire morning at CVGS on this capstone project. That is our focus. And that's what our environment and our ability to create our schedule for classes allows us to do. The egg drop project, just to show you a few there, the primary requirements they have is a minimum and a maximum weight, and the minimum weight or mass is significant. So you can see a container on the left that was filled with liquid, and our spirited group on the right who created a griffin with some balloon airbags on the bottom to hopefully keep the egg alive. And like I said, we go outside and we drop them from about a 7.5 meter height. There's some still photos of the impacts. And like I said, we produce high-speed video of that and analyze the time of impact and the change of velocity that allows us to get a force of impact. And hopefully, most of our students, we like the two in the lower right, the happy owners of a survivable egg. So that's a quick overview of physics, and I'm going to pass it over to Mrs. Sheamut, who's going to talk to you about our research course.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Steele. And good evening, everyone. It's good to have you with us. And I'm Michelle Sheamut, and I am the lead research teacher. And so what that means is I work with our other two faculty, Dr. Mr. Douglas and Dr. Mrs. Douglas, to develop our curriculum and make sure we are constantly in touch with each other. So we are making sure the research process goes smoothly for all of our students. But as the lead research, I do take the majority of the students, so I mentor most of the student research projects. I also help Mr. Douglas with placing all of our students their junior year in their internships, and also manage our media. Cursor in the right space. Advance. There we go. So why research? Well, the research course has been a part of the CVGS program since the beginning. So we've had 35 years plus of experience with this program. And each year we tweak research a little bit. It changes just like science continues to change. And so due to the needs of our students, we will implement some changes and tweaks to the research process. And it really is about the process of science. We want students to learn how to go about answering a question, how to develop methodology to answer that question, how to analyze that data that they collect. And there really is no other course like it in the region. Some other schools have research classes, but they're not like our research class. And it is very unique because mainly we focus on process, and students get to choose their own topics. They aren't given an idea. They have to think about what their interests are and develop a project based upon that. And so students really have ownership of their research projects. And so here's some pictures from several years ago. But picking a topic isn't as easy as it sounds. Our students have lots of interests. And so trying to find one thing to investigate for a year is challenging. And so we do make sure that they are paired with a faculty mentor throughout the entire year. And that means there's a lot of one-on-one meetings, especially right up front at the beginning of the year, bouncing ideas off each other, thinking about where interests really are, what's feasible to do in the timeline that we have, because it is a pretty short time to do research, actually. So students complete their data collection by the end of the first semester. But because we keep an open dialogue, and we also reach out to our community, we have offsite mentors that we rely on as well, whether it's from local universities or engineering firms or many of our other partners with our research program. So working with on-site mentors and possibly off-site mentors, students can develop their own project. They think about and research background information. How might be the best way to go about this? And again, continuing that communication, continuing to discuss with each other. There's a lot of collaboration that goes in research. So even though students have their own project, they are talking to each other. They're sharing ideas. They're helping to brainstorm. They're helping each other to collect data. Sometimes people need a data collection assistant. So we try to encourage students to help each other out throughout the process. And to analyze data, students do statistics. Dr. Smith mentioned that he teaches the statistics portion of the course. And so he meets with them once a week, so they actually learn true statistical analyses that will be useful well beyond Gov School. And there's a lot of statistics out there. So we cover just some of the basics that will be useful to them with their types of projects. And then communicating their results at the end. So students work on writing a paper throughout the process. They will develop a poster because we do go to science fair, and they work on preparing a PowerPoint presentation to present at a symposium. Because it's not just about what happens in the lab or in the classroom. It's being able to talk about that science to a broader audience. Science doesn't happen, in its own little vacuum. It has to be shared. It has to collaborate with a broader scientific community as well. So here are some pictures of students from previous years doing some research. The lab gets very busy during the fall semester. Research Fridays is what it sounds like. It's 3 hours of research time. Mr. Steele mentioned that he only gets 4 days to teach. That's because Fridays, it's all research time. Students, whether they are in the lab or having to do some analysis on their computers, or whether they're working in small groups, sharing and peer editing and collaborating, they are taking time to time manage. So they learn some good time management skills there, prioritizing and working together. And then we are preparing to share and communicate those results, as I said. So the bottom left picture there is a couple of years ago at the Virginia Junior Academy of Science, where it's a symposium, a statewide symposium, where students go and present their research. And it's a lot of fun because they get to spend a couple days on a college campus somewhere in Virginia. But it's also a really great learning opportunity and a chance for students to practice presenting in front of other students and judges. So internships, Dr. Smith mentioned that that's a key component of one of the benefits of applying to CVGS. And the internships take place in the spring semester during junior year. And it will be on Fridays because those research Fridays turn into internship Fridays because students are done collecting data by this point. And so we place students with professionals in the community based upon their interests. So whether it's education, engineering, healthcare, veterinary sciences, we have a wide variety of interests that the students have, and we try to place them with their top choice. And so we have students placed many places in the city and in the surrounding counties. And this helps students explore future career options so they can think about, what does an engineer really do? They get to be on site and see what engineers do, hands-on. And it is really revealing because some students realize that maybe what they thought this career does isn't quite what they thought. And it's a really great learning opportunity to build relationships with career professionals. And the reason why we do internships in the junior year is it not only fits into our schedule nicely at that time, but it also helps students build their college applications. So students can use this as a really good resume builder and be able to talk about it possibly in one of their essays for college applications, to talk about their internship experience. So in summary, research at CVGS isn't just about doing a project or going to science fair. It's really about learning the process and doing hands-on student-chosen projects. And also there's no cost to students. Our foundation will cover any costs within reason that might be associated with the research projects. Students will become better problem solvers because I don't know of any project that goes off without a hitch. There's always something that's a troubleshooting need, or just make students think about, oh, that might not be the best way to go about my project now that I'm doing it. And they also become better science writers and communicators because we will have them talking to each other and the broader community about their science. And again, it is also a great college application builder because they can talk about not just only their research, but also their internship opportunities. Okay, and that takes me to the end of my session. And so at this point, I will pass it off to Ms. Shiflett and Mr. Powell.
Hi, everybody. We're so glad you're here tonight. I am Melissa Shiflett, and I am part of the math department here at CVGS. I also get to teach the scientific photography lab that our seniors can opt to take. And I am a part of that leadership, teamwork, and communication lab that Dr. Smith had mentioned earlier as well. And so for the next little bit, we will be going over what happens in math at CVGS. The math department is made up of 3 of the faculty here, myself. I get to teach all of the juniors mathematics. Mr. Howard and Dr. Smith, who you heard mentioned, he also teaches connections in mathematics to our seniors. And so I'm going to pass it on to Mr. Howard.
Thanks, Mrs. Shiflett. So my name is Steve Howard. A little bit about myself. This is my 32nd year at the Governor's School. I currently teach the seniors mathematics for all but the connections, which Dr. Smith does. And I'm going to jump in the boat of being a proud CVGS parent. Dr. Smith already mentioned he's a parent. Also, Kim McMillan, she is also a parent of some CVGS grads. My daughter just graduated a year and a half ago from the University of South Carolina, so I got to go Gamecocks. Got to do it.
And I have to mention Mr. Steele as well is a CVGS.
Oh,
parent.
Mr. Steele, but he had a chance to say it himself. That's okay. Yeah. So anyway, a little bit about our mathematics program. So as Mrs. Shiflett started talking about, the junior year, you have a choice based on what you've done in your mathematics courses up till then. You would either take a math analysis course or a calculus 1 course. They are both year-long courses. They are both dually enrolled. And since some of you may be new to the game, what we mean by a dual enrollment course is you get both high school and college credit at the same time. And so both the math analysis and the Calc 1 for the junior year get 4 credits. Once again, they are year long. If you are a senior, you're going to think more in terms of semesters. So I teach Calc 1, Calc 2, and Calc 3. And they are, just like in college, they are semester courses. And so you can sort of mix and match as well. Typically, when we talk about a calculus course in college, Calc 1 is typically, in sort of broad terms, is differential calculus. Calc 2 is integral calculus, and Calc 3 is multivariate calculus. And then that other course down there, that Connections in Mathematics course, Dr. Smith teaches that currently. That's a course that we've developed here at the Governor's School. And it sort of addresses a pet peeve of mine that for some reason we in education think that students ought to take Algebra 1 as soon as possible so we can really race to get to calculus, which is, in my view, totally wrong. And so what is Connections? It's a course that looks at the breadth and the beauty of mathematics, because there's way more mathematics out there than just the race to get some tools to take calculus. So how do our courses work? Well, sort of that rule of 3, we're going to have an emphasis on theory because we want our students to understand how things work and why things are like they are. But then you're also going to have to develop those analytical skills, those tools. How do you actually do the work? How do you actually push the symbols? And then to make sure that you understand concept and you've mastered that symbol pushing, if you will, we're going to put you in applications. We want you to actually do some problem solvings with those concepts and with those skills that you've been developing. So The junior and senior year, the schedules are a little different. You've already heard Mr. Steele talk about that you meet 4 days a week. Same thing with the junior math classes. You'll meet Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you've already heard Mrs. Sheamut talk about Fridays is that research Fridays where they get three hours. You know, if you're taking a course in college, you're probably going to meet maybe 3 times a week, and that's what we do with the seniors. With those semester courses is they meet Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And so that's what happens with the senior math courses. That leaves room for our senior sciences, which are lab sciences. And you'll hear more about those from, as we call them, the Doctors Dougli. There's a lab day committed for just for that lab science on Tuesdays. And then you'll also hear them speak of the senior technology lab. That'll happen for 3 hours on Fridays. So the schedules are a little bit different based on sort of the maturity level, the academic maturity. As you go through the governor's school, you're going to become academically mature. And so that schedule actually lends itself to helping that along. And then that emphasis of refining time management and study skills, you know, in their math courses, you know, we don't say, here's a topic, let's do some homework, let's talk about the homework the next day, and then do one day, next day. Because a lot of times topics in mathematics, they flow together. And so we actually offer up our homework so that our students can develop their time management and they can decide when they need to do the homework. And let's say that for a week, maybe, you'll have the homework for the entire week or maybe 2 weeks. And then the students actually get to figure out what's the best way for them to be successful. How do they work on that homework? Do they have time to get together with people at school? Do they have time to get together with people outside of school and get together with study groups? And so this gives them an opportunity to find out what works best for them and how do they best learn before they get to college, and then they will have those skills when they head off to college.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in on those study skills because as a junior teacher, I very often hear our students talk about how they don't know how to study for math. They've never had to study for math. Math always came easy to them. Math wasn't a challenge for them. And then all of a sudden they come to Gov School and they're met with these rigorous classes and they're struggling with how do I even study? And that's part of my job is I teach our juniors how to prepare well for mathematics, what are good study techniques, how to manage their time, but then also how to practice so that they're prepared when quizzes and tests come along. Because what they're going to find is that the courses at our school are very different than the courses that they've experienced at their base school. Our courses tend to be much broader and more depth in content. So we will go over more information and we'll go farther with that information. So we don't just kind of brush along the top of the surface. We really get into what that math means. You're going to see that it's very much like a college course because it is a college course. These are rigorous courses. These are meant to challenge our students and to help it to where they're not just sitting back and listening in class, but they're needing to engage and they're needing to practice to be able to be successful. There's also a greater use of technology, both in class and for assignments. And our pace is accelerated. We cover more material, we go farther with that material. So we do pick up the pace from what they probably are used to seeing, but we do it in a way that we can meet our students' needs. As we see students are struggling with learning how to study, we come alongside them and we help them prepare. If we see a student is having trouble keeping up with the content, we talk about how to prepare before class, how to engage during class, and how to practice once they're done with class. And then we also are able to do a lot of collaborative projects. In the junior year, at least once a week, every other week, students are involved in small collaborative projects where they get to kind of dig into the material more. These could be projects where they are learning new material together. It could be a project where they're practicing material, or it could be a project where they're going further and seeing how it applies to something else. And so they're actually getting that how, that why, and what is it for type thing that's happening. And so that is always helpful with our math classes. And usually by the time they're finishing up, they're starting to get to the point where they're confident, and then they get to their senior year and they feel really confident as they go through math classes. And then they go off to college and they call us back and they say, wow, I was so prepared for my classes. While my other friends were struggling in their math courses, I was just running right through it. And that's kind of what we want to see happen with our students. And that's going to finish us up for our math content. And so I am going to now pass the baton on to the Dr. Stugley. Yes, have fun.
All right. Hello. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. So I'm Scott Douglas. I get to serve as the assistant director. I'm also the internship and partnership coordinator. I get to teach dual enrollment physics to our seniors. I also teach research to juniors. I'm one of the 3 research teachers, as Mrs. Sheamut has mentioned. I'm the senior seminar coordinator, and I also get to teach the 3D design and print lab. Also, we have an industrial grade 4 laser, so we do laser engraving and subtractive engineering. And also my newest tech lab is the virtual reality. And so those are some things that I do.
And I am Michelle Douglas. I am going to teach the seniors human anatomy and physiology. I am also a research mentor for some juniors, and I do things like coordinating the new student orientation. I also am involved in the senior capstone event, which we call S-Cubed, and I teach a couple different tech labs, which we will be talking about in a little bit. So what I want to go over with you tonight is talking about the 2 different sciences that we have to offer for our senior year. So I put a side-by-side comparison here so that you can see for the 2 different courses, both of which are going to be dual enrolled, excuse me, through Central Virginia Community College. They're going to be 2 separate courses. You're going to have a first semester and a second semester course. Both of them are going to be worth 4 credits per semester. So when students graduate, they're actually going to have 8 dually enrolled science credits that they can take to their college or university. They are both going to be lab-based sciences, and it's just a matter of whether you're interested in a physical science or a biological science. You can pick between the 2. Now, what we do in these science courses is we're not just there to teach strictly about anatomy and physiology, strictly to teach about physics. We're really trying to integrate a bunch of different STEM concepts together, and we're going to do that while teaching students specific skills needed for that particular program. So when I say skills, it could be skills in the lab using technology for the lab-based courses, or it could be using skills like different software and applications that are going to be found on our really wonderful laptops that the students have. So these skills are going to help them not just for our classes, but really we're trying to train them to have these skills going into very competitive universities later on, so that when they go in, they'll have that edge going in, having already gotten these skills in their high school, which a lot of students are not going to be able to get. And it's not just about being competitive for universities. We're trying to teach them skills that'll be great for them in their global workforce later on, that they can translate to later on when they leave their universities. So in terms of how we prepare them for competitive schools, what we really do is we focus on our content, but we use that content as a platform to teach them critical thinking skills. We give them rigorous training on how to actually study for lots of content, because like many of our student colleagues have mentioned, a lot of students come to Gov School saying, I never had to study. It's just not something I had to do. Everything came very easily to us. Well, we will get to the point where you're going to get, because it's so advanced and it's going to be much more in depth and we're going to go at a faster pace, you're going to need to learn strategies in order to really absorb this content and to understand it. So we're really going to look at that research oriented. We want the students to dive into to see what's the actual best practices now, to integrate technologies as they're doing it and really learn that content so that they can explain it well and not just know what they've been told. We're also very lab-based. So you can see these pictures from a couple of years ago because there's no masks on students, but there are lots of hands-on activities. We treat this as a college class because it is a college class. So the schedule that you see for seniors, like Mr. Howard mentioned, it is a college schedule where they're going to have 3 days a week of a lecture at 50 minutes. And then you'll get your 3-hour blocks for labs to really get time to go in there, use the sophisticated equipment. The equipment that we have here, thanks to the foundation, really is high end, and it's going to be something that you'd find typically in universities and even greater than some universities that are going to be around here, but well beyond what a typical high school is going to have for our equipment, so that students can apply the knowledge that they're learning within class, and then they're able to actually collect real-time data and then learn how to analyze it with it. One of the things that I love most about Gov School is going to be the culture and atmosphere that we have here. This really is a college community setting in that we don't tell the students, well, for 50 minutes, you have to sit in this exact spot. And then you will have a 5-minute transition time to go to this spot and then do this particular thing. We have unstructured time for them where they are able to use the time as they see fit based on where their time management is and what they're doing. So this picture that you see on the right-hand side, that's our commons area. It's actually right in front of my classroom. And at any given time, you're going to see a bunch of students that are going to be sitting in there. They could be working on homework. They could be working on their tech labs. They could be doing homework for their base school sometimes, or sometimes they have downtime and they're actually just chatting and getting to know each other, but in a nice and responsible way, not going crazy, because they know we give them the freedom to do that because they are mature. So this unstructured time that we have also allows them time to seek help from their peers. We are a community of learners. We are not competitive. So everyone here is there to help other people there. And this unstructured time also allows students to get help from their peers, but also from faculty. So if they are struggling, they can come in and see the faculty during these off times so that they can see if they can get some extra help. We have very rigorous content and it's going to be fast paced, but we're here to support them. And so we want the students to succeed. We want to help them get better and learn different strategies to do that. So that culture and that atmosphere that we have here, it's just amazing. Our students are wonderful. They want to be here. And so as a teacher, that's really, we're end game here as a teacher, because I look forward to coming to school each day because I know the students want to be there and they really want to learn. And we just want to help them do that and get better.
All right, and I get to talk about the Senior Seminar Technology Lab. This is probably one of the most unique classes that you'll hear about. When I got a chance to visit other governor schools, for example, I did not see anything like this. Our seniors, in place of junior year, you heard about the research and internship opportunities that you have. Well, your senior year, that is taken by Senior Seminar Technology Labs. Still a class weighted 5.0. No classes in the area are weighted more than governor school classes if GPA is something you're worried about. But this opportunity gives you the chance to work with sophisticated technologies not found in other high schools and sometimes not found in other colleges. It's very research oriented. Students learn collaboration. As mentioned by many of my colleagues, our students oftentimes work in small groups. They get to work collaboratively. So you're not just working in an island where you're feeling competitive with the people around you. These independent and personalized experiences allow students the opportunity to explore areas of their own interest. What we do at the beginning of the year is we actually send out a survey and we just in a description of each of the different technology labs, and the students get to select which ones interest them the most. And so we use that to make their schedule. Here's an example. Here are technology labs that we currently have, including mobile apps, microscopy, Photoshop. A lot of these you've probably heard of, maybe some of them you haven't. Virtual reality in the bottom right, that's my newest one. Microscopy, where students get to use this high-end technology. One of the questions I often get, so I might as well address it now, is how is it that you have the funding to buy things like this? Like when your microscopy lab has a scanning electron microscope that costs $250,000, how did a program like you all get something like that? We have a foundation that supports what we call our margin of excellence. So when we have new, innovative, cutting-edge technologies, we can bring that to our students. Since 1985, our students have been supported by our community and businesses and families, for decades. And so from that, we are able to support our students. It pays for these research trips. It pays for all of this stuff. But the reason they're 5 weeks, it doesn't mean you do 5 weeks and you're done. That's 5 weeks where you get to go in depth and explore that technology, and then you rotate to another one. So students don't do all 11. They do the ones that interest them the most. And that really gives them a feeling of being able to push and actually go into an area that, hey, I chose this. I really want to know more about this. And like a lot of, at least like my technology labs, sometimes there's 3, sometimes there's 6 students. Sometimes they're very small groups, which gives students even more opportunity to really push how far they can go for 3 hours on a Friday. So it is a very different environment. It's very enriching and gives students that opportunity to do that critical thinking. So I'm not going to go through and describe every technology lab because frankly, they change every year anyway, based on what the new cutting edge technology is. So by the time you all are seniors, a couple of these might not be here, but that's because we're bringing new ones in all the time. But they are fun, they are exciting. If you want to know more about it, you can ask us or even ask another student. Some things I just kind of want to reiterate that I heard from earlier. All of this stuff, even though these opportunities for our students going on overnight research trips, all this research equipment, senior dues, the Governor's School does not pass that charge on to students. The application, if you decide to apply, and I hope you do, is non-binding. It is good for you to apply. And if you decide down the road that Governor's School is not for you, you can simply say no. We've also been around for over 35 years. Some other programs out there have been around, but not for nearly as long. That means that when you start applying to colleges and universities, they know who we are. If you apply to Virginia Tech or UVA or William and Mary or any of these very competitive programs, they're going to know who we are because we've been around for a long time. All of our classes, as mentioned before, are weighted 5.0. So coming here doesn't put you at any kind of disadvantage whatsoever. Another thing I really like about our program is that we are mornings only, depending on which school you come from, a first or second session, which means sometimes students have said, well, I don't know if I want to go to the Governor's School. I really like my friends at my base school. If you come to the Governor's School, you go back for your English class or government, history, whatever. So you get to be a Governor's School Griffin, but you still experience all of the things at your base school as well. And, you know, I know us saying it's like a college environment, it may not make sense to you, but it reminds me when I go back into a high school, when I start hearing class bells and they change classes. We don't have bells. Our students just go where they need to go, when they need to go, and they seek out help when they need help. We treat them like the young adults that they are, because we can trust them to make the good decisions and develop those time management skills that will make them successful in the future. You've heard many times about the small groups and collaborative learning teams, and you hear the community of learners phrase many times. It's more than a slogan, you see it every day. But those are some things I just wanted to mention, and I think that is my time, and so I'm going to pass this back to Dr. Smith.
Thank you so much, Dr. Douglas. That was a very nice summary, Mr. Douglas. I appreciate that. Yeah, that gives you an idea of what our program does, why we exist, where we're located. Now, what we'd like to do, we always talk about when you are collecting data, try to collect from multiple sources. So you've heard from the faculty. Now we'd like you to hear from some of our Cvgs ambassadors. We have 4 ambassadors with us tonight, and they're going to introduce themselves and share whatever comments they have with you. And we'll take 2 to 3 minutes each. And I think we're going to start with Avery. Is that right? All right, Avery, whenever you're ready.
Yes. Hi, everybody. My name is Avery Rourke, and my base school is Appomattox County High School. So at Gov School, the classes will be different from your traditional base school in terms of not only subject, but also in structure. At CVGS, we have a lot more group projects, as you've heard, and I know you might be thinking, I hate group work. I'm always the one that has to do everything, and I really don't like them. Well, I think you'd be happy to hear that at Gov School, all of your peers feel the same way. And so at the Governor's School, group projects have really helped me learn what the phrase community of learners means, because we really help one another and everybody participates. It's not like at your base school where it's usually one person doing the work. It really is a group effort, and we get to do some amazing projects. I've made videos and PowerPoint presentations and 3D models this year, and it's really been amazing. Also at Gov School, all the teachers are so intentional and always willing to help every single student. For example, last week, I was really struggling with my math quiz. And so I'm a connection student, so I went to Dr. Smith and simply said, hey, can you please help me? I'm really struggling with this. And so he sat down with me for around 30 minutes, outside of our traditional Gov School time, and just helped me out and helped me understand a lot of the formulas and concepts. And now I feel a lot better about what we're learning in class. Also, we've mentioned labs very frequently, and at Gov School, we do have a lot more opportunities for hands-on learning. And all of these labs that we do have really helped me connect the concepts in class to something more practical. This year, as a senior, I took anatomy and physiology as my senior science, and I've gotten to do some really cool labs. For example, in 2 weeks, we're doing a heart dissection, and I'm beyond excited. And also at Gov School, one of my favorite things about it is that every assignment is purposeful and intentional. At base schools, you see a lot of busy work and things like that, just things that you don't really care about. But whether you're listening to lecture and taking notes, or doing a project or doing a lab, it all has a purpose, and it's going to be on the test if the teachers are teaching it. And then the last opportunity I wanted to tell all of you potential future Griffins about is Saturday School. One Saturday a month, Gulf School will open its doors to all of the students to come in who need a little bit of help, need a quiet place to study before a test, or just to bond with your other Griffins. You've heard Dr. Smith and Ms. Shiflett mention the Leadership, Teamwork, and Communication Senior Tech Lab. And one of the elements of that tech lab is you get to use those skills in a video game called Artemis that we all play together. And we have a big, really cool lab with lots of cool lights and touchscreens for it. And that's open to seniors to play with on Saturdays. So sometimes a group will come in and we'll just hang out and bond in there. And then we go in the comments and talk about it. And it's a really fun time. I truly love the CVGS program, and I really encourage all of you to apply. And now you will be hearing from Jillian.
Great job, Avery. Jillian, are you with us? All right. And, oh, I see. You can't unmute.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, hi. My name is Jillian Nyland. I'm a senior this year and I go to EC Glass High School along with CVGS. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit tonight about the environment at CVGS. So the first thing I want to talk about is the ability to make new friends. So honestly, CVGS takes from a lot of different schools, like Dr. Smith said earlier, 11 different schools. So you get to meet kids from a lot of different areas. And what I thought was really cool is that they're all like-minded. Like all the kids at Gov School are hardworking. They're not behavior problems like you probably have at your base school. They're kids that generally want to be there and want to do their work. And that helped with what Avery was saying, like the group projects, they aren't as nowhere near like the struggle they are at regular school. And I thought one good example of this is, so last year we had virtual classes, like I'm sure a lot of you all did. And when you joined Zooms for Gov School, everyone had their camera on. Everyone was there and ready to learn. And I thought that was really cool. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the freedom you get at Gov School. I know Mrs. Douglas touched on this a little bit, but you have more time for yourself and more like unscheduled time. The teachers aren't, while you do have classes, the teachers aren't breathing down your neck all the time, like time to do this, time to do that. And you're just like hanging out in the commons and stuff like that. And I think the good examples of this is your research project, your junior year is largely self-guided. And then the tech labs, your senior year, are largely self-guided. And I thought that it was cool. One example of this is that Gov School doesn't actually have any substitute teachers. If a teacher's absent, someone just comes in and takes attendance, and then you just sit in the classroom and just do your work, because teachers trust you to be able to do your work and do it correctly and not destroy a classroom. The last thing I wanted to talk about was the community at Gov School. I'm not sure if this is the right word, but I think of Gov School as being more of like a casual environment, like more interaction between the students and teachers value your opinion and input. One example of this I thought was that one of my tech labs, VR, I take with Dr. Douglas. But if we had problems with it, he literally told me, go ask another student, because that student knew it better than him. And I thought that was cool how he trusts the student's opinion. And yeah, and especially with your research project, because in the end, you are the master on your research topic more than Miss Sheamut or someone else. While she can help you, it's largely you have they trust you to be able to do what you're going to do. And even at Governor's School, one other thing I wanted to mention was how willing they are to help out and work together. Avery talked about this with classes, but me more in a sense of one example of this, I think I want to call out Miss McMillan here, is that one day my tire light came on in my car, and Miss McMillan literally came out in the parking lot with me and helped me blow up my tires, which I thought was really cool. Another example is one day students saw a broken chair in the commons and they just started fixing it. No one told them to, no teacher commanded them to. And Miss McMillan came up and was like, do you want a screwdriver? I thought that was really cool. and just like those sort of community things at Gov School, that teachers really like you and you really like being there, and everyone just like wants to be there and work together. So yeah, I would definitely recommend applying. Thank you.
Thank you, Jillian. Well done. And next, I think Beverly.
Yep, it's my turn. Is my audio okay now? I
We
know it's
hear
kind of
you.
having, okay,
Fantastic.
sick. I'm glad it's working now. So my name is Beverly Eborn. I am a senior both at Cvgs and Liberty High School. And I was asked to talk a little bit about my favorite part of my experience at Cvgs, which was a really tough one for me. It's very open-ended, and as you've heard in the past hour, like there's so many cool things about Cvgs to talk about. So I sort of had to pick what I thought wasn't focused on a lot. And that is, you know, they've been up here talking for the past 55 minutes, and, you know, they're not arrogant people. They're not going to spend the whole time bragging on themselves, but I think that sometimes they should. So I'm going to step into that role and brag on the teachers a little bit. It's so obvious that they genuinely are passionate about one, what they're teaching you, and two, that they're teaching it to you. None of these teachers are like upset about the fact that they're teaching to high schoolers. They're like, wow, these hormonal teenagers are so annoying. They don't feel that way. They are so glad that they have the opportunity to share this knowledge with students who genuinely care what's going on. So there's this really great dynamic between teachers and students who just genuinely want to learn from each other and teach to each other. And it's unlike anything that I've ever really experienced before. So the teachers just obviously really care. And I'm going to go into a couple of other reasons. First of all, the teachers here really care about preparing you for the future. And one part of that is teaching you communication. So for example, if you have a lot of stuff going on that week and you just are having trouble completing an assignment, just email that teacher and they will work something out. Like, once again, that's something that I've never really experienced. Dr. Mrs. Douglas, I had some things going on and she just let me take a test like on the weekend, like several days after the fact. And teachers at base school would have been open to me doing that because there's such a strict schedule that they need to be on. But people here are just so lenient in a good way, not in like a lenient bad way, but they allow so much flexibility. And as long as you communicate clearly, they are so helpful. Another example, for part of my research project, I had to put some beans in the oven, long story, but I needed to get them out over Christmas break. So I just hit up Dr. Smith on the email and he let me into the building like the day after Christmas because I needed to get my soybeans out of the oven. So there's really just this attitude of ask, and the worst they can say is no. Dr. Smith has been saying that a lot in connections lately. The worst they can say is no. And that's something that I find especially true at Gov School. And you really learn to just ask for what you want. And the teachers, because they trust you, will most likely give it to you. Now, don't abuse that. I'm not saying, oh, just go around asking for test extensions all the time, but the option is always there and the teachers trust you enough to let you use that option when you need it. I don't know how long I'm taking, but I am going to say one more thing. Teachers are very good at getting you all on the same page. I don't know if Isaiah is going to touch on this a little bit later, but everybody is coming from so many different backgrounds and you might be nervous. Oh, well, what if I don't really know what's going on? Well, another part of the teachers caring is them caring about you individually. Will make sure that you are on the same page as everybody else. They will fill in any gaps that the differing base schools might have caused. So I just wanted to ease that. The teachers are really there for you, no matter the circumstance. So I think that's a decent segue to Isaiah or Dr. Smith. I don't know for transitioning to you.
I just
Thank
wanted
you.
to say you did a great job, Beverly. Well done. And yes, we'll go to Isaiah next.
Hello, everyone. My name is Isaiah Bradner, and I am currently in school at Cvgs High School and then also the Central Virginia Governor School. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why I think that you should apply. And the first thing I'm going to say is that we at the Governor School, we want you to apply and we want you as a student. And I say that in the most sincere way. I'm not saying that we want only the students who love math and love science. It's great if you love math and science. That's what the school is named for. But that's not all that we are at the Governor's School. We want who you are as a person. We want what you're interested in, and we want you to show that to us. And the Governor's School is so great, not only because of the teachers are amazing, and not only because of the programs, those are amazing too, but it's so great because of the students that come into it and own their experience there and make the school great. And so we want all of you to come, give it a chance, and make the Governor's School great for you. And so that's the first reason why I would encourage you to apply. The second is that I know that for all of you, if you get in, you'll be able to do the work. Now, it might seem scary at first with all these rigorous course loads, especially hearing these presentations. And it was definitely scary for me whenever I applied, hearing, you're going to have to study for a math test for the first time. You've never had to study for math before. I was like, what is Ms. Shiflett saying? What is going on here? But as I went through the year, I realized that the teachers were, as all the others have said, they're there to help you, and you'll be able to learn the course material. So just trust me that if you get into the Governor's School and you're worried about the academic material, you're going to be fine. You're going to do great. And the next thing I'm going to segue into is kind of like what I said earlier. Even though it is a math and science school, this isn't a school filled with generic nerds. Like, we don't come in every morning and Dr. Smith's in the center and he says, all right, everyone, we're now going to talk about our favorite mathematical function. What is your favorite mathematical function? Mine is the integral. All right, let's go around. No, that's not what happens at the Governor's School. It's normal conversations. You have people talking about the NFL playoffs. You have people talking about video games, clothing, pop culture. Yes, we're kids that are passionate about learning, but we're also just normal kids. And that's really what we are at the Governor's School. One really cool opportunity that I was able to pursue is that I actually was able to play esports through the Governor's School, thanks to some organization I did with Dr. Smith, which was a super cool thing. My base school wasn't able to get it organized in time. And so I was like, hey, Dr. Smith, can I play this card game online and represent the Governor's School? And he was like, yeah, go ahead, Isaiah. So that's one pretty awesome thing where, kids at the Governor's School, they're not all the same type. We have tons of different people. And if you come, you're going to fit in and everything's going to be fine. Another reason is that all the kids there, they really love it at the Governor's School. And that's easy for me to say, I'm someone the teachers pick to talk about this. Of course, I'm going to come up here and say, I love the Governor's School, you should apply. But I really do. It's really an amazing experience. And it's something that I didn't really understand until I first got in the program. Whenever I was listening to seniors talk about it, I couldn't really comprehend, I guess, when they're saying you meet people from other schools and you get all these unique opportunities and it's really a different environment. I didn't really understand that until I got onto Governor's School this year when we were in person and I was able to walk around and talk to all my friends and all the opportunities I got. So it's not going to make a lot of sense to you now why all of us are here saying we love this school so much and why we want all of you to apply. But just trust me, if you take the chance, if you get into the school, it's going to be well worth it. And then, of course, I'm going to end it off by saying that the Governor's School is not only just a great community, there are a lot of benefits to going here that go past the relationships you'll form. As Dr. Douglas and Ms. Sheamut were talking about, the research opportunities that we have here in our junior year are really unprecedented. I haven't seen anywhere else that offers that to students, the depth that you're able to go into, and you can really study whatever you want. That was amazing. And it's something that I put on my college applications and just that I enjoy doing in general. Alongside that, the internships that we're allowed to do, unfortunately, we didn't get the full internship experience because of COVID, but I'm close with a bunch of juniors, and I know one friend who really wants to grow up to be a vet, and so he's been working with a veterinarian. And then I know other friends that are interning at local hospitals, and it's just amazing. Like they said, it's really a real world application where Gov School lets you get out there and enjoy your time, and you're not going to be doing that pretty much anywhere else in high school. And then the final thing is, Dr. Douglas already mentioned this, but the prestige that we have with colleges. Colleges know what the Governor's School is. There are a bunch of scholarships that are only available to kids that attend the Governor's School, either through the Governor's School or the Governor's School is highlighted as a highly academic institution. And so we get to promote kids to go for these scholarships. But it's going to open up tons of doors that you wouldn't have opened up anywhere else. So I love the school so much. I hope that I've convinced you to apply. It costs nothing. All it costs is maybe 2 hours of your time. You can put in the application and you can always say no. So I hope you guys choose to apply. And yeah, that's what I have to say. Thank you, Dr. Smith.
Thank you so much, Isaiah. I appreciate that. Could we have a round of applause for our student speakers? They do such a good job. They are outstanding young people. We are a little bit over time. We do watch our time at the Gov School, but perhaps we have one or two questions that someone might want to unmute and ask or put into the chat. And then I'll just say that if you have questions at any time, you can email me you can go to our website, just Google CVGS, Central Virginia Governor School, CVGS. We'll be the first in the list. Go to the faculty page. You can find my email address. Send me an email. In the subject, put prospective student, and I will reply that same day. So if you have any questions, you can email them. But does anyone have a question now that they'd like to ask about the program? Dr. Cantrell? Oh, I'm going to need you to unmute. Let me see if I can do that for you. I'll just give you a little prompt you can click.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
So just two related questions. So what would you say the advantages of the Gov School program over the early college program in the community? And to what extent do you find your Gov School graduates, do they get college credit to some level? I know you mentioned that quickly in one of the presentations, but how extensive is your college credit program? I hope that makes sense.
It absolutely makes sense, and it's an excellent question. So early college is designed to provide all the core courses to allow a student to earn an associate's degree, a 2-year college degree. So they're going to teach English, and they're going to teach government, and they're going to teach CVCC's version of study skills. They're going to teach these courses that will allow them to get the associate's degree. And we've talked with students who have been in early college, and certainly we know lots of students who've been at the Governor School, and the two programs are designed to do different things. Early college might allow a student to go to a 4-year school and finish in fewer than 4 years. The Gov School isn't designed to do that. We don't offer English, we don't offer government, we don't offer those other courses, but our students do take those in the base schools, oftentimes either dually enrolled or more often advanced placement, and then they take an AP test. So where students are going to get college credit at the Governor's School is in their math course in the junior year. They're going to pick up credit there. They're going to pick up credit in their science course in the senior year. And then students are oftentimes, if they're with Mr. Howard, they're going to pick up credit for their math course in the senior year. If they're with me in Connections, they're not going to pick up college credit, but they're going to pick up a lot of other really good things. That's just my opinion. I've been teaching the class for 12 years. So you are going to get college credit at the Governor's School, but it's not going to come packaged as an associate's degree. It's not going to be as many hours. But what I will tell you is this: if you take physics with Dr. Mr. Douglas, that's a 200 level college course. So that credit's going to go anywhere. So our credits are going to transfer as the content versus as electives. And sometimes that's not the case with the courses in the associate's degree program, although early college is a fantastic program also. I've got only good things to say about it.
Dr. Smith, may I tag on that?
Please do, Mr. Howard.
Thanks. So I'm going to go to my daughter. She, when she went through, she earned enough college credits and also with some AP, a couple AP scores, and with taking Connections in mathematics her senior year. She avoided having her father, believe it or not. She finished at the University of South Carolina in 3 years, and she was in the honors college. So, but I'm going to go back to the research and the connections because there's statistics in both of those. She actually took a statistics course and said that she already knew the content because of what she had learned in those courses. Even they weren't college credit courses, the content made that course for her at University of South Carolina a pretty easy course. So there definitely are some advantages, and the credits will go and help out.
So if I hear what you're saying, then that it could be more advantageous to go to the Gov School and get the one-on-one experience that you offer, as opposed to getting, say, a year or two free of college by doing the early college program. Is that fair to say?
We would hold that opinion, yes. But again, we're strongly biased, Mr. Howard and I, especially as Gov School parents, right? But yes, we would think if you are, if you want to do the more rigorous coursework and learn how to do it, challenge and support, not just challenge, right? We're going to get our kids ready. We send kids to, a lot of kids to Virginia Tech. I'm going to go down Dr. Mr. Douglas's list. UVA, William and Mary, Yale, Princeton, Stanford, Harvard, MIT. We have a student there now. So we can send our students wherever they want to go, and they're going to be prepared to handle the level of rigor. And that might not be the case for students who are in the early college curriculum, because it might not have the same level of rigor. I think that's fair to say. And seniors in high school who've taken some of those dual enrollment courses in the base school might agree.
And so you found a lot of your graduates in honors programs and universities and get consequential scholarships.
Absolutely.
Can I jump in for a
I'm a
second?
professor. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that there's actually a program that was put in place last year called, I think, Griffins in Flight. So the program named Dr. Smith, and where a bunch of seniors that had been accepted into colleges actually helped us rising seniors fill out our college applications or look for scholarships. And there was a list of where they went. You can also look on the CVGS website and YouTube channel. There's a list there of students where students are currently enrolled. So yes, to answer your question, sorry to jump in, Dr. Smith, they're at a bunch of highly accredited colleges, but I've personally experienced how they've helped me refine my college application as I'm applying this year.
Sorry to take up so much time.
No, it's an excellent question. I'm sure other people had the same question. And we'll take just one more question. Oh, you're very welcome. We'll take one more question, and then I want to reiterate that if you have questions later, please email me and I will respond to you and to your question. Do we have one more question, either for the students or for the faculty?
We have a question about math.
Yes,
our child is currently, he's a sophomore, obviously, and he's taking AP Calculus BC right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are there alternative math options for him? It seems like he's already done all the calculus.
And I understand how it could seem that way. Many of our, I think all three of us have taught AP. Well, Mr. Howard's only taught at the college level and at Governor School, but Mrs. Shiflett and I both taught AP Calculus in the base schools and are very familiar with that curriculum. So what we would do is we would work with your student to figure out where the knowledge and skills are as it relates to our courses, because our courses are more advanced. They go in more depth than the typical base school AP curriculum. And then we would make a recommendation. And so BC is really Calc 2 equivalent, although not necessarily our Calc 2. So it might be Calc 2 followed by Calc 3. We sometimes have juniors who do that. Then connections would be an option. We have had students who have demonstrated such proficiency in mathematics that we facilitated their taking math at a local college during their math period at the Governor School. That has happened. So we're designed to meet the needs of accelerated gifted students. That's what we do. And I hope you've heard the students say that we're very flexible, and Beverly mentioned this. We're going to work with each child individually. We only have 150 students in total. Right, we're not a school that has 1,000 students, right? So we have the flexibility to do that. That is a great question. We are over time. I do apologize. Thank you all so much for coming. I greatly appreciate it. Students, thank you. Faculty, thank you. I'm going to close our meeting out just by saying we hope you'll apply. The worst thing that can happen is that you'll have a good experience and you'll be practicing for your college application. The best thing that can happen is that you might have the opportunity to attend, and we hope that'll happen for you. Have a great night, everyone, and thank you so much.